Hi everyone, my name is Sonya Borowsky and my thesis is about the importance of pollinators for our agriculture production, the significant threat that the overuse of pesticides has on their rapidly declining populations, as well as ways that they can be helped on an individual level. The initial inspiration for my thesis started with this image I found in a magazine. This is a painting on a copper plate by Jan van Kessel the Elder, who is a 17th century Flemish painter. What attracted me to this painting are the stunning details of the different insects and floral stem that Van Kessel captures here. His work made me want to further explore the concept of insects and floral elements. I then turned my attention to the exquisite work of William Kilburn, who is a 18th century Irish textile designer. I absolutely fell in love at first sight with his delicate work. These are 6 different pieces by him that are currently at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. Stylistically, his work inspired this collection. The next source of inspiration came from my meeting with Eduardo Duenas, who is the manager of school programs at the Schuylkill Center. Duenas invited me for a walk on their grounds to talk about the current status of pollinators and reasons why their populations are currently in decline, as well as ways that we can help them. One of the biggest messages that he emphasized was the importance of open, overgrown, undisturbed areas for pollinators to feed and nest. The images that I took, which are on the left, illustrate this message. Duenas also pointed out specific species of plants that are vital for pollinators on the right. After our meeting, I then started painting my own motifs. These images show some of my individual motifs, which were later compiled together to create my patterns. I decided to focus on 2 types of pollinators, bees and monarch butterflies. This is my first pattern I call the ideal environment for pollinators. I took stylistic and layout inspiration from Kilburn. I also took inspiration from Duenas and the information he shared with me. For example, snakeroot, buttercups, purple asters, white clover. You can see bees and monarchs flying throughout the pattern. I really wanted to achieve the sense of energetic life among verdant, overgrown floral elements. One repeat measures 27 inches by 54 inches. Within my first print, there are hidden details that can be found throughout. On the left, you can see monarch caterpillars and cocoons, as well as bees on different flowers. These are details that you may not find viewing at full scale, which makes this pattern more engaging and realistic. The second print in my collection is inspired by botanical prints that depict details of plant species. This print illustrates the anatomies of different species in the previous pattern that are used in the act of pollination. For this pattern, I wanted to portray the deadly long-term effects that pesticides have on bees and monarchs in a visually impactful way. This is an engineered print, meaning that it does not perfectly repeat. On the right-hand side, you can see that the bees and monarchs are actually dead, and that within the print as a whole on the left, their bodies are layered and more densely packed at the bottom. I made this decision to give visual weight as well as illustrate the idea that the dead bodies of the bees and monarchs are falling down and piling up. This print measures 35 inches by 70 inches. This is another engineered print inspired by the relationship between pollinators and our food production. Apples, strawberries, blackberries, snap peas, and almonds were all chosen to be in this print because they are all heavily dependent on pollination by insect pollinators. Without pollinators, these fruits and vegetables would become scarce or disappear from our markets. For this print, I create a visual ombre where the fruit and vegetables are more densely packed at the top and gradually become more spaced out and become less and less visible, giving the idea that they are disappearing and, as I like to call them, ghost fruits and vegetables. My goal was to show that if pollinators disappear, so will specific fruits and vegetables. This print measures 27 inches by 58 inches, so the painted motifs are life-size. The final pattern in this collection takes a more positive outlook where it illustrates ways that people can help pollinators. You can see different phrases of ways that people can help pollinators. For example, planting a pollinator-friendly garden, plant milkweed specifically for monarchs. My hope for it was also to be informative. Here are all of my prints together. My plan was to print all of these patterns onto fabric and create hanging banners in addition to creating some products from the fabric. Here are a few photos of a quick sample I got to print onto silk habitai. It's always very exciting to see my work printed onto fabric. I image mapped my patterns onto different products. Image mapping is a method of using a photo of a product and placing a textile pattern onto it to give an idea of how the finished product will look. I took my patterns and placed them onto products that are specifically aimed towards avid gardeners. This is an image of my first pattern image mapped onto a gardening belt. Here is my second pattern image mapped onto a pair of gardening gloves. Here is a gardening tote, a pair of rain boots, a garden apron, a tablecloth, garden sun hat with two different prints. Here is an image of two of my patterns on a pair of garden gloves and a tool pouch, a garden tool bag and stool, a watering can. Here is an image of an outdoor furniture set with my pattern image mapped onto the cushions, a pair of outdoor garden chairs, dining chairs, and finally here are a pair of interior armchairs. This is the end of my thesis presentation. I hope you enjoyed it and were inspired to get out into the garden and plant with pollinators in mind. Here is my contact information, my email, my website, and my Instagram. Please feel free to get in touch if you like. Thanks so much.